What's up, everybody? This is the Sports League Podcast. Back for another week. I'm your host, Alex Leak. We got Dustin back on the show, ready to talk some NFL. Good to have you back on, Dustin.
Yeah, bro. Hey, we're in the month of June. We're getting closer and closer to summer training camp and then preseason, and then we're there, man.
Yeah, honestly, I wish I could press fast forward. Like I was just talking with John Abraham about this. Uh, I would go for some preseason football right now. Give me a Thursday night game of two winless AFC South teams. I don't even care. I want to watch football. And there's a lot of storylines going into the preseason as well. Some quarterback battles, just a lot going on in the league. The NFL never sleeps, huh?
Yeah, man. No, it's constantly with trades and everything.
Yeah, and we got some interesting stuff to talk about on this episode. This is our 2026 AFC North offseason recap, and this is a very interesting division. I mean, I think any one of the of three out of four teams could win the division. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, it's possible. It depends a lot on what Joe Burrow can do
Yeah.
and Lamar. So
Yep.
yeah.
And then whatever the Browns are doing, but the Browns are going to be interesting as well. So let's get into this thing. Let's start it off with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Um, there was a lot of talk about what was going to happen at quarterback, and that I figured all along. I had a pretty good idea that Aaron Rodgers was going to end up signing and come back for another year. Did you have that same feeling?
I did, but then for a minute, Alex, I kind of thought maybe he, just thought like, hey, I had one hell of a career. He wants to come back to try to win a championship, which it's going to be very hard, especially in that division. But Aaron Rodgers can do it.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool reuniting with Mike McCarthy, huh? Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy back together once again.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't even think about that, man. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I think the Steelers intentionally hired him with the idea of convincing Rodgers to come back. I think when Mike Tomlin retired, Aaron Rodgers was kind of like, I think that's it for me. But then once they hired Mike McCarthy, a familiar guy, someone Aaron Rodgers knows really well, it made it a lot easier for Rodgers to be like, all right, I'll do one more year.
Yeah, but I mean, then again, though, Alex, was it worth it putting all your eggs in a basket for Mike McCarthy for just 1 year because you had Aaron Rodgers for that year? Couldn't you
Well, I
have
think
went out and maybe got somebody better?
the Steelers at head coach, I think they're going to stick with Mike McCarthy. They're not one for firing or moving on from head coaches. And Mike McCarthy, I think, was born and raised in Pittsburgh, so I think he's going to be the Steelers head coach for a while. I could see him being there for a decade as long as he wins.
I mean,
But
yeah, I, I could see that, and he's at a place where the organization is willing to help the head coach.
yeah, 100%. I mean, and the big question will be who plays quarterback going forward. Does Drew Aller develop into a guy? Do they need to draft a franchise quarterback? We'll see what happens once Aaron Rodgers retires. But yeah, it's a new regime with Mike McCarthy at head coach, Patrick Graham at defensive coordinator. Then they trade for your guy, Michael Pittman from the Colts. I mean, did you like Michael Pittman in Indy? And do you think that he helps the Steelers out a lot?
Okay, first of all, you had to bring that up. That broke my heart, bro. Honestly. Um, yeah, of course he helps a lot, man. He was the Colts' heart and soul of that receiving core for as many years as he was there, So, and that gives
Yeah,
Rodgers a weapon alongside DK Metcalf. Good luck.
yes. And I was saying that all year last year that they needed a number two wide receiver opposite DK Metcalf. DK is getting doubled and tripled, and they don't really have another receiver, to throw the ball to other than like Marquez Valdez Scantling. So now you trade for Michael Pittman Jr., and I think like um, I think he's going to help out a lot, as the number two guy. I think Rodgers is going to like him.
Oh yeah, for sure. Whoa, did you just say Pittman as number two guy?
Yes, I think Michael Pittman will be your number two wide receiver. I do really like the rookie they drafted, Jeremy Bernard. I could, but he's a rookie, and Michael Pittman is a established veteran in this league.
I'm gonna disagree with you in a way, just because I've seen DK play, but I think Pittman is a wide receiver one wherever he goes, and that's just my opinion.
I'll disagree with you on this. It's not a big disagreement, but DK is my number one wide receiver, Pittman number two, Jeremy Bernard number three. But I mean, Dustin, you know this. If you've got two number ones, that's not a bad thing, right?
Yeah, no, not at all. And they loaded up Aaron Rodgers with some weapons, man. I'm telling you that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to see them actually putting some weapons around him. I think Rodgers will have a better year this year in 2026 than he had last year with the Steelers. So I got high expectations for the Steelers offense. Mike McCarthy calling plays. What do you think about their quarterback position? They've got four quarterbacks right now. Aaron Rodgers, Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, and then the rookie Drew Aller. Do you think they keep all four quarterbacks, or there's been some speculation maybe the Steelers cut or try to trade Will Howard? What do you think?
I would keep Howard and get rid of Aller, but because I've never
Wow.
trusted Aller from the moment he was at Penn State, I just never trusted him.
Well, the difference is they used a third round pick on Drew Aller. That goes into my thinking, like how can you move on from a third round pick that you just took? I tend to think they keep all four. I said maybe you keep one of the young quarterbacks on the practice squad or something, right? I mean,
Yeah, and I mean, who's better to Mason Rudolph isn't a terrible quarterback.
no,
He's
he's
not
a
like
solid backup, yeah.
so. He's somebody you can learn from, just like
Yep,
Aaron Rodgers.
yep. So it'll be interesting. But yeah, I think Mason Rudolph will be the number two, and then we'll figure out who's the third stringer, Will Howard or Drew Aller. Um, you're higher on Will Howard, it sounds like. I tend to think Drew Aller's the better quarterback, but we'll see which of these two can develop if either of them can develop into an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, so I get that. Give me your reasoning why. This is interesting to me because I've seen Aller play, bro, and in the most key moments, he's made some really bad interceptions and some really bad plays.
Yeah, and to that point, Will Howard led Ohio State to the national championship. Won a championship. So I get that definitely. I just feel like I don't know Drew Aller extremely well, but I've heard that like Penn State didn't use him the right way or didn't always put him in the best position to be successful. I think with both of these quarterbacks, there's a lot of room to develop in the NFL. I don't think either Will Howard or Drew Aller is NFL ready. So it's whoever develops and takes advantage of the coaching and the learning under Aaron Rodgers. Whoever can do that can, will stick around. But it's hard for me to say at this point who's better.
Yeah, and I mean, if there really is a coach that's really left, that's a veteran that you would want to learn to play quarterback from, I think it's Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, he's had success with Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott. So he's a proven quarterback developer. So yeah, that's a good point. Or they signed Rico Dowdle, who's a good running back. Um, they add him to Jalen Warren and Caleb Johnson. That's a pretty good three running backs there. Caleb Johnson comes from Iowa. Rico Dowdle had some good moments with Carolina last year.
Yeah, yeah. Rico was good. Caleb Johnson, though, man, he's underrated. I would keep an eye on that kid.
I agree. I like Caleb Johnson. So we'll
And
see.
he came from a pretty good system where they run the football over there with Kurt Ferentz in Iowa.
Yeah, yeah. They did lose a decent amount of weapons. They lost Kenny Gainwell, goes to Tampa Bay. Starting guard Isaac Samalo goes to Arizona. Connor Hayward goes to the Raiders. They still got Pat Fryermuth and Darnell Washington at tight end. Those are solid two tight ends there. So I think the Steelers' offense is going to be better in 2026. We'll see if the defense can carry its weight, but I expect the offense to be a decent amount better.
Yeah, yep, for sure. I mean, just adding Pittman Jr. makes you better right away.
Yes, and then you talk about Jeremy Bernard. I mean, now you've got three excellent wide receivers.
Yeah, yeah, yep. Jeremy Bernard, that's that kid that's out of Alabama, correct?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, yeah.
I
That kid's
think,
a baller.
yeah, I think he's got a lot of potential. So we'll see what the Steelers look like on offense. They also added safeties, Jaquan Brisker and Darnell Savage. Brisker, played for my Bears and was solid. When he's healthy, he's an excellent safety. And so you can add him to Jalen Ramsey. That's a pretty good secondary, too. They also added Jamel Dean. So I like what the Steelers are doing.
Yeah, and not to mention, I like the hire of Patrick Graham as well, Alex.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a good defensive coordinator. They drafted, so a lot of talk was about not getting Makai Lemon, the Eagles trading up to steal Makai Lemon from the Steelers, but I think it worked out for them getting Maxi Inacho in the first round and then Jeremy Bernard in the second. I think it worked out for them pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have two kids who could be the future as long as they are developed correctly.
Yep. Dalen Everett in the third round is a good pick out of Georgia. You add him to Joey Porter Jr., Jamel Dean, Asante Samuel. That's an excellent secondary. Jennings Dunker out of Iowa as well. Um, and then how about fullback Riley Nowakowski out of Indiana? I think he's solid as well. Like I really like the Steelers draft class.
Yeah, for sure. The Steelers always draft pretty well. And,
Yeah.
with this being Aaron Rodgers last year, they had to go out and do something.
Yes, exactly. They got to surround him with more talent. And I'm high on the Steelers. I think the Steelers repeat as division champs. I got the Steelers winning the AFC North. I think they win, 9 to 11 wins. If you remember last year, 9 wins was enough to win the division and beat the Ravens in Week 18. And it just so happens they're going to be playing Week 18 against the Ravens again this year. So maybe it'll come down to, a field goal to win it again in 2026.
Okay, buddy. We're really good friends, but this is where I disagree with you. Okay.
All right.
Um, in my opinion, the only reason why the Steelers really won that division was because Lamar was injured at least most of the season.
He was
I
injured a
mean,
little bit. Yeah.
and
But
he didn't play his best football.
no, he didn't, especially after he came back from injury. I agree with that. But also, I mean, the Steelers didn't play to their potential either. So I agree with you. I think the Ravens are going to be better this coming year, but I think the Steelers are as well. I think this whole division, I think the Bengals are going to be a lot better too. So it's going to be a three-headed battle for first place, and it's going to be intense.
Yeah, for sure.
But, we saw, you talk about Lamar Jackson not playing to his, performance, what we expect out of him. TJ Watt didn't play to his level either. Just 7 sacks last year, his lowest since 2022. Only 14 games played. I think, didn't he? I believe he missed that, you know, late in the season when they were trying to push for the playoffs. So if they can get a bounce back year from TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith, and these guys, Nick Herbig, maybe the Steelers can be better, and I think they will be.
Now, one thing I do gotta say is if it's January and you have to go to Heinz Field and you have to play Aaron Rodgers in the cold where he's really good in because he used to be from Green Bay, that
Yep.
could be dangerous.
Yeah. There it's definitely going to be tough. I think the Steelers are I'll say this, whether they win the division or not, I got them making the playoffs. So, but as of right now, I'm going to pick them to win the division. And to me, what really seals it for me is the wide receiving core. I just feel like Aaron Rodgers was really hamstrung last year with only DK Metcalf. I just watched today. I watched a game they lost to the Browns, and they had first and goal to win the game, and they were throwing it to Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and it's like now you got Pittman Jr., you got Jeremy Bernard, along with DK. I just think their wide receiver room is much improved. I think that's going to help open up the offense in a big way. That's my hope, at least.
Yeah, absolutely, all day long. And
Yeah,
I just think that I have a feeling Rodgers knows this is it. He's coming for blood.
yeah, yeah. You would hope so. He said this is his last year. He's got a better team around him. Go for it all this year and see how far you can go. The AFC's open. There's no heavy favorites in the AFC. So the Chiefs are kind of down. The Ravens didn't play their best ball last year. So
Yeah, and you already know who my favorite all-time quarterback is, buddy. So I say it all the
the
time. It's Rodgers, but unfortunately, he plays on the team that I dislike the most too.
Steelers, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, we'll see what happens. So, where do you think the Steelers finish? Do you think they have a winning record at least, and do you think they make the playoffs?
I do think that they make the playoffs because, again, I don't know just how is the AFC really that strong?
Well,
Because
I mean, so you got the Bills and the Patriots. The AFC North, we've already talked about. The AFC North is pretty strong. Um, the AFC South is strong. The Titans are getting better. Then you got the Colts, the Jags, the Texans. The AFC West, the Chiefs are going to be bouncing back. Then you got the Broncos and Chargers. The Raiders are getting better. I do. I think the AFC is very competitive this year. There's not a lot of bad teams besides like the Dolphins.
yeah, in my opinion, for them to get into the playoffs, I think they have to win the division, though.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be very competitive. Let's go to the Baltimore Ravens. Since we're on that topic, um,
Dang it, bro! Talking football makes me want to watch it.
I know I'm the same way. I'm so ready for football to start. Now it's crazy to me when looking at the Ravens that if Tyler Loop makes a field goal, they win the division, and John Harbaugh is likely still there. But the kicker misses a field goal, they miss the playoffs, and John Harbaugh gets fired, and now he's on the Giants. So now it's a whole new regime in Baltimore. Head coach Jesse Minter, Declan Doyle at offensive coordinator, Anthony Weaver as the defensive coordinator. How are you feeling about the Ravens in a new era without John Harbaugh?
I didn't like that they fired Harbaugh, but I can understand that they wanted something new.
Yeah,
And Harbaugh may have took his course, but at the same time, Alex, I love this hire. Jesse Minter, dude, that defense is going to be out of its mind.
yeah. That's what they're looking to go back to. Is if you remember, that defense was really good when they had Mike McDonald as a defensive coordinator, and then he got hired to the Seahawks to be their head coach, and he's gone on to win a Super Bowl with them. And that
Well,
we know
what?
how good that Seahawks defense was last year.
Yeah, for sure. And look at Mentor winning a national championship under Jim Harbaugh when
Yep.
Michigan had a really, really good defense.
Yeah, and Mike McDonald and Jesse Minter are that Harbaugh, structure, Michigan, Ravens, Chargers, and we know Jesse Minter is going to have that defense ready to go. He's a hell of a defensive coordinator, and Anthony Weaver is an excellent defensive coordinator too. So you got two really smart defensive minds. So I agree with you. The Ravens should be a lot better defensively. They tried to trade for Max Crosby, which would have been crazy if the Ravens had him. But I think it actually worked to their favor because they get their picks back when the Crosby deal goes through, and they're still able to sign Trey Hendrickson in free agency, which is a solid addition. They also signed the veteran Calais Campbell in free agency, and then they're able to use their draft picks and get better as well. So I think it worked out, even though they didn't get Max Crosby. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I'm telling you, Alex, that defense is gonna be nasty.
Yeah, I agree. Um, they also prioritize they signed John Simpson on the offensive line. They draft Vega Ioane, which tell me if you agree. I think Vega is the best offensive lineman in this draft, and I think he's that offensive line. Look out for Derrick Henry. With John Simpson back and Vega Ioane, I think Derrick Henry is going to go off again this year.
For sure, for sure. I thought the kid out of Utah was the best offensive lineman picked, but you know, Vega's
Spencer
not bad.
Spencer Fano, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, he's an excellent player as well. But I just love Vega Ioane, and I think he fits these Ravens really well. Trey Hendrickson and Calais Campbell. I mean, that's pretty solid. I know Hendrickson just 4 sacks in 7 games last year. Calais Campbell will turn 40 years old on September 1st, but I still think they got some gas left in the tank, and this defense is going to have them ready to go.
Well, yeah. Wasn't it just a couple years ago Hendrickson was competing for the most sacks in the league with TJ and Miles Garrett?
Yeah, he had back-to-back 17 and a half sack performances 2 and 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
And and if he goes in completely healthy, I'm telling you, that defense is going to be dangerous.
yeah. Yeah, and we'll see. They still got Kyle Hamilton. They still got Roquan Smith. Um, then looking at their draft class, so we talked about Vega Ioane. How about Zion Johnson in the second round? And you add him to Trey Hendrickson and Mike Green. I mean, Zion Young is a hell of a prospect.
Yeah, no, for sure. And what I was going to say is again, Jesse Minter knows how to develop defensive players. So I think Zion Young went to the perfect organization for it.
Yeah, 100%. And then how about so this is something along similar to the Steelers. I thought the Ravens have done a bad job of surrounding Lamar Jackson with receiver talent, like elite wide receivers. Outside of Zay Flowers, who do they have? Rashad Bateman, an old ass DeAndre Hopkins. Like they needed to upgrade their receivers, and I love drafting Jacoby Lane and Elijah Surratt in the third and fourth.
Oh, bro, don't even get me started. Like Jacoby Lane, if you go back and watch his film, that dude made some crazy catches, bro.
Yeah, yeah. And then Elijah Surratt, we saw how good he was at Indiana all year, winning that national championship with Mendoza. So I love adding these two young wide receivers. I think they're going to have an immediate impact. They also draft tight ends Matthew Hibner and Josh Cuevas, which are two good picks.
I
With
love
Mark,
Cuevas at tight end, man.
yeah, and Mark Andrews is getting old, so these guys can fill in nicely. They did lose Isaiah Likely and Charlie Kohler in free agency, so good job replacing that talent in the draft. Corner Chandler Rivers to go with Marlon Humphrey and Nate Wiggins. Running back Adam Randall out of Clemson. Did you like Adam Randall? He seems like a power back. He seems like he's going to translate well into the NFL. Do you think so?
I do, yeah. I think his game fits the NFL pretty well, and I've seen him play. He's not that bad of a player, though.
Yeah, I think he's an excellent running back, excellent value for a fifth round pick. So, again, you heard me say I got the Steelers winning 9 to 11 games. I got the Ravens winning 9 to 11 games. So I think it really will. I think it'll come down to that week 18 matchup, Steelers at Ravens. And I think the winner of that game wins the division. Um, and the big question is, can Lamar stay healthy? That's been the big question for 4 or 5 years now. If Lamar Jackson can stay healthy for a full season, this Ravens team can go win a Super Bowl. But they need to stay healthy and put everything together, right?
Absolutely, bro. And that's the thing. The Ravens season every year is going to depend on, in my opinion, the health of Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
A healthy Lamar is everything for the Ravens, man, and that's why I'm gonna put him in as healthy. I'm going 10 to 13 wins.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen it before. I think this team has gone like 14-3 when Lamar was healthy as MVP season or, you know,
We talked about it. Those two rookies, I think those are the two best rookie wide receiver picks in this draft when you consider picking back to back wide receivers, bro. Like,
yeah, and third and fourth round, excellent value. I mean, I agree. I like both those guys a lot.
yeah, Surratt was a dude in Indiana.
So the only thing that I can say that worries me a little bit is offensive coordinator Declan Doyle, who has never called plays before. Now he's learned under some pretty good coaches. I believe he learned under Sean Payton. I know he learned under Ben Johnson last year with the Bears, but he's never called plays before. This is his opportunity to call plays. And the one thing I want him to focus on is not falling in love with putting the ball in Lamar Jackson's hands every play. You have to feed Derrick Henry consistently because we know Derrick Henry can go absolutely crazy at any time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And with Lamar coming off injuries, some of the
Yeah.
kinds he's had, his ankles and stuff, you don't want to put a lot of stress on him.
Yep.
He's some of the like people act like Lamar is not a very good drop back passer when that dude has a cannon.
No. Lamar's one of the best quarterbacks in the entire league. He's in that elite group no matter what. Top five best
Yeah.
quarterbacks in the NFL.
And I'm saying if you run the RPO, you're going to confuse almost every defense because where's the ball going? Is it going to Henry or is it
Yep.
going or is Jackson keeping it? So you have so much you can do with that duo.
Yeah. And like you said, those young receivers, those young tight ends, all they're going to do is help open up the middle of the field and make them more and more difficult to defend. So I think we're on the same page here. You got the Ravens winning the division, you said?
I do.
Yeah. And I think it's going to come down. I think it's a three-headed race: Ravens, Bengals, and Steelers, and we'll see who can stay healthy the most and who can, you know, make it all happen at the end of the season. Um, and now let's go to the Bengals because again, I think they're just as much fighting for that division as anybody. Um, and it's a prove it time. I mean, you look at the Bengals staff, GM Duke Tobin, head coach Zach Taylor, defensive coordinator Al Golden. They are all on the hot seat. The Bengals haven't made the playoffs. This is a crazy stat, Dustin. The Bengals haven't made the playoffs since 2022. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, very much. Is that the year that they went to the Super Bowl?
No, they went in 2021.
Okay.
2022 is the year they went to back-to-back AFC championship games, but in 2022 they lost to the Chiefs. So they almost went to
Yeah.
back-to-back Super Bowls.
My thing is, Alex, do you think we're getting to the point to where Joe Burrow's career is close to almost being wasted?
No, I think he's got plenty left in the tank. I think Joe Burrow is going to keep playing, at a high level for a long time. The question is, the concern is at what point does he get fed up with how things are going with the Bengals and request a trade, much like what happened with Carson Palmer at the end of his career, remember?
Yeah, very true.
So the Bengals, that needs to be their number one focus is, helping Joe Burrow and putting a team around Joe Burrow. Um, and I think, tell me what you think. Do you like running back Chase Brown? I think he's getting better and better, and I think the Bengals should look to use him more and more in that offense.
Absolutely. Chase Brown was a workhorse when he was in played for Illinois. So the kid had some big games last year as well, some big moments.
Yep, he's coming off his first career 1,000 yard rushing yard season. He had 1,500 combined yards. So if I'm the Bengals, I get the ball in Chase Brown's hands more and more going forward. Take some
You
pressure off of Joe Burrow.
you've got to find a way to protect Burrow though, Alex. A lot of his injuries are coming because their offensive line has been so bad.
Yes, I agree. And they didn't sign anyone in free agency, but they did draft uh, Connor Liu, a center, in the fourth round, and Brian Parker in the sixth round, which both are good prospects. So, they're at least trying to do something. But I agree. And that's why I would feed Chase Brown more and more because you're asking Joe Burrow to do too much, and he's just getting beat up. He's taking so many hits.
Yeah, that and I mean I get it that they addressed it in the draft, but you still have to go out and sign at least that veteran who's going to be able to, you know, be there when you need him. Some of these guys are still young and they haven't developed into full NFL offensive linemen, which is dangerous in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. And as much as we talk about Lamar Jackson and his injury history, we got to talk about Joe Burrow and his injury history because that has been a problem the last like 3 years.
Yeah, and when Burrow's out there, Alex, he's a top four quarterback. He's a baller.
Yeah, MVP candidate when healthy, 100%. So, but what the Bengals did do this offseason is they prioritized the defense. They really went all out on the defense, not only trading for Dexter Lawrence, which is a huge addition, but also signing Jonathan Allen. So now you got two monster defensive tackles in the middle of that D line. And they also signed Boye Mafe from Seattle, a pass rusher, add him to Miles Murphy, Shamar Stewart. They did lose Trey Hendrickson, like we talk about, but I think their D line, even though they lost Trey Hendrickson, I think their D line is going to be better. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. I really want to see how well Shamar Stewart develops because when he was in college, Alex, he was a dude.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he could be something special. Same with Miles Murphy, you know. And Dexter Lawrence right there in the middle, that's you can call that a type of Aaron Donald type of
Yeah.
trade when it comes to somebody like the Bengals. I mean, obviously he's not Aaron Donald, but he's a damn good player.
Yeah, he is. And having those two space eaters, Dexter Lawrence and Jonathan Allen in the middle, is going to open up, opportunities for the pass rushers on the outside, whether that's Shamar Stewart, Boye Mafe, and I really like Cassius Howell, who they drafted in the second round. They got some good young pass rushers.
Yeah, for sure. And as much as I love Al Golden,
Uh-huh.
I think he's a better college DC than he is the NFL. So I think Zach Taylor kind of made a bad hire, just in my opinion, because he's more fit for the college game.
Well, and so this is going to be a hot take, and I don't know if you're ready for this, but hear me out. The Bengals need to upgrade their head coach. Zach Taylor has been holding this team back. They need, and I said it when they hired Zach Taylor. I know he took this team to the Super Bowl and back-to-back AFC championship games, but to me, that's a lot more Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase than it is head coach Zach Taylor. If I'm the Bengals, I'm looking to upgrade the head coach position, and I think my prediction is they're going to do it this next offseason. I think the Bengals are going to be revamping their entire front office next offseason with a new GM, a new head coach, and a whole new coaching staff. That's my prediction as of right now.
Even if they make the playoffs?
It's debatable. As of right now, at this moment, I'm going to say no. While I do think they upgraded their defense, I don't think their defense is going to be a strength. I don't think their defense is going to be top half of the league still. I think their defense is multiple years away from being, a strength. I really do.
I like the fact that one thing I will give a shout out to is I'm glad that they hired Grandpa to be the backup quarterback. Just kidding.
Joe
Um,
Flacco, yeah.
he can win you some games if need be, if Burrow does go down in a couple games.
Absolutely, he can. He's a good backup quarterback. The issue is if Joe Burrow misses any amount of time at all, that's bad news for the Bengals. I don't care who the backup is, you know?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Joe Burrow is a man who keeps that place running besides Jamar
Yeah.
Chase.
Yeah, 100%. Um, I do like that they drafted corner Takario Davis out of Washington. So you add him to Dax Hill and DJ Turner. That's a good draft pick. And I like wide receiver Kobe Young out of Georgia. You've got T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Andre Yoshibas. Now you got Kobe Young. I mean, that's four solid wide receivers. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially T. Higgins didn't have the year last year I thought he was going to have. I think he's going to be in for a big year because, I mean, if you get T. Higgins playing at the top of his game and Jamar Chase playing at the top of his game, how do you stop that?
Yeah. Exactly. And a healthy Joe Burrow. That's why, this team is capable of going on a deep playoff run if they can just get there healthy, get into the playoffs healthy. Um, but
If they
yeah, I
do,
mean,
will you take back what you said about Zach Taylor?
yeah, if he can save his job, but this is my criticism of Zach Taylor. You've had Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, you know, this whole time, and you've got a losing record as head coach, 52 and 63 and 1. So,
He's been there that long?
yeah, yep.
Man.
So, I mean, for a while there, it looked like the Bengals had it made. Back-to-back deep playoff runs. They go to a Super Bowl. Everything looked good, but now 3 straight years of missing the playoffs. At some point, that can't stand. You're too talented to be consistently missing the playoffs every year.
Yeah, which, by the way, Bengals could have might have won that Super Bowl if it wasn't for a bad call by the referee, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. So, but the whole thing is you got to get back there, and you got to win to not only, keep the head coach, but to keep Joe Burrow happy, to keep Joe Burrow there long term. So,
This is a
but
tough division, Alex.
exactly, I got the Bengals 8 to 10 wins and battling for first place, just like the Steelers and Ravens. Any one of these three teams can win the division. It's just about who executes, who stays healthy, and who's left standing at the end of the year. It's going to be a very competitive, very fun division.
Yeah. So my prediction is, and I don't want to do this, but I almost can't really count Burrow. I can't put my trust in him to stay healthy a whole season, Alex, because there's only been a couple seasons where he's proven he can.
Yeah,
And so with that being said, this is with and without Burrow. I'm gonna go between 7 and 9.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. I can agree with you on that. And just to clarify, this isn't us criticizing Joe Burrow saying he can't stay healthy. This is us criticizing the Bengals saying, "Hey, you got to protect him more. You got to prioritize the offensive line and protect your absolute A1 star franchise quarterback. You got to protect him. No quarterback can survive taking constant hits all season long, right?"
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was not a knock at Burrow at all because I guarantee if you put Burrow at any one of these other, if you put Burrow on the Patriots, they beat the Seahawks in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I
If you
mean,
put Burrow any, if you put Burrow anywhere on these teams that make the playoffs, he's probably going to take them to the promised land.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, you gotta. We'll see if the Bengals can get it figured out. We would have liked to see them do more on the offensive line, but at least they drafted a couple guys, and that's why I say let's use Chase Brown more because I think he's an up and coming star, and that takes less pressure off of Joe Burrow and less hits on Joe Burrow. So that would be my recipe for success.
Teams
Yeah.
that have good running backs in the NFL, but usually are pretty good football teams.
Yeah, they're harder to defend. You're less predictable. And I think that's another knock on Zach Taylor is I think he's been too reliant on the passing game and not as balanced as he needs to be. And so hopefully they can do that here coming up in 2026. Now let's go to the Cleveland Browns. Let's wrap this division up with the Browns. And while the Browns aren't expected to win the division, they traded away Myles Garrett. They're kind of in a retooling, rebuilding type of mode right now. But I still think this team is going to be competitive. I think they're going to be better than last year. I really do. And what did you think of hiring Todd Monken at head coach? Do you like that move? Or would you have gone a different direction at head coach?
I like the move, but at the same time, what was really available, Alex? I mean, you know, there's not much available right now. I thought maybe Sean McDermott, after he had got fired, would have been a pretty good pickup for the Browns.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. What did you think? Were you surprised they didn't promote Jim Schwartz to head coach? I kind of felt like he had earned another opportunity.
I think you wanted to go something more newer. Now, Jim Schwartz is DC, absolutely.
Yeah. You
I would
are
have
you
made
like
him
him better as a defensive coordinator than head coach.
absolutely. I like him as a defensive coordinator. He's had some pretty good defenses.
Yeah. So you're
You
starting to
know,
think like me about these. Hey, that's a great coordinator. I don't know if I like him as head coach, but I love him as coordinator, right?
yeah, yeah, but listen, Alex, these past years have proven you can have an average offense, but if you have a top 3 to 4 defense in both college and the NFL, you can win a championship. You don't need a top tier offense to actually win a championship.
Well, what you need a little bit of both. I mean the Browns had an elite defense with Myles Garrett, with Jim Schwartz at defensive coordinator, and their offense was so bad that they didn't win many games. I agree with what you're saying. I'm a defensive first guy, but another great example is the Houston Texans last year. They had the best defense in football, but who ruined it at the end of the day was CJ Stroud with all those turnovers. You know what I mean? You got to have a quarterback that at least can protect the football.
Yeah, yeah, and no, I mean, I'm saying it's not always the occasion, but if you have a damn good defense behind you, they can win you a championship.
Yeah, they can for sure. And so it's going to be interesting, the Browns. And so a lot of people are talking about trading Myles Garrett means that the Browns are not looking at 2026 to be competitive. I don't know because Jared Verse is a hell of a get back. I mean, Jared Verse is not a slouch. He's an excellent. He's not Miles Garrett, but I think Jared Verse is going to be a solid pass rusher for this team. Don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. Verse was really good when he played at Florida State. He's young too, so he has many years yet to develop. Now, let me say this. You may never, at least in my lifetime, come across another Miles Garrett, Alex. That dude is a once in a lifetime defensive end, in my opinion.
He was a monster. I mean, we've seen a few of these guys. We've seen, you know, Reggie White, prime like Khalil Mack, prime J.J. Watt. Remember J.J. Watt in his prime? He was incredible. Aaron Donald in his prime. You think
He
Miles
was, but
Garrett is better than prime J.J. Watt or prime Aaron Donald? Are you willing to go that far?
it's very, very close, Alex. I mean, if you think about it, there's there's been times where Miles Garrett could have and should have won probably at least 3 to 4 defensive players of the year. I mean, he
What?
led the league in sacks. What the for like what 2, 3 years in a row, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not knocking Miles Garrett at all, and it's damn near unfair that the Rams get Miles Garrett now too. That team's going
Yeah,
to be insane. Yeah, but I think, and it was interesting. So Jared Verse just comes walking in wearing number 8. He didn't even ask Dylan Gabriel to take his number. He just deboed that thing. He just came in and said that number 8 is mine. That's pretty funny. What do you think of the Browns quarterback position? You've got Deshaun Watson, you've got Shadur Sanders, you've got Dylan Gabriel, and now you draft Taylon Green in the sixth round out of Arkansas. To me, I think that means Dylan Gabriel's gone. I think the Browns are going to trade Dylan Gabriel. Uh, do you agree with me, or what do you think the Browns are doing at quarterback?
okay, so here's how I see it playing out. As much as I think Deshaun Watson is a very, very talented quarterback, when he has his mind right, I also think a little bit of his issues is what causes him to not be able to be on the field as much.
Uh huh.
So I think the Browns really see something in Shador.
I agree.
And I think that they are planning to have him as the future in Cleveland.
I agree, and I'll give you some. Uh, I'll add to that. I think Deshaun Watson will be your Week 1 starter, based simply on politics, based simply on the fact that you owe him so much money. The Browns are paying Deshaun Watson 46 mil for 2026. So, based on that paycheck right there, I think he's going to start Week 1. Now, I don't think he finishes the season as the starter, whether it's performance based or injury based. I think at some point, Shador Sanders will take over as the starter midway through the season. And I like Shador Sanders a lot. I think he's got franchise quarterback potential, but Shador is going to have to prove it because the Browns have 2 first-round picks in next year's draft, and the Browns are very much looking at drafting a quarterback in the first round, a franchise, quarterback, whether that's Arch Manning or whoever that will be. And Shador is going to have to prove it once again next offseason against a new rookie quarterback coming in. Do you agree with that?
I do, but again, I mean, we've seen a lot of flashes from Shador,
Uh huh.
and I think he's going to play great. But of course, if you have that many first round picks, you have to go get a quarterback anyways.
I mean, so let's say Shador Sanders starts 10 games in 2026 and he plays pretty damn well. Are you still drafting Arch Manning if you have the opportunity to?
Well, if Shador's playing that well, I don't think they're going to be in position to be as close to Arch.
Well,
So,
but they have two first round picks that they can use to they could trade both those first round picks to move up.
man, that is a tough question, Alex.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
very
I mean,
interesting situation for sure.
Shador's young,
Yeah,
yeah, and he has many years ahead of him. And if you believe and he's showing you signs of great development, then go try to get you another Miles Garrett.
yeah.
Go try to build what you're lacking on offense. Go get you a big time weapon. I mean, there's some dudes that are going to be coming out next year that are some pretty big weapons.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I agree with you. I like Shador a lot. I think he will be a starting quarterback in this league for a long time, regardless of if it's with the Browns or not. If the Browns end up, drafting a quarterback and he ends up being their guy, I still think Shador is going to get his opportunities in this league. And everyone knows that Dion being his dad, they have so much respect. The Sanders family, they're going to give Shador a lot of opportunities to succeed or fail, either way, right? In my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I mean, it'd be great in the first round, yeah, to still go get you a bigger name quarterback. Somebody, for example, I think Arch is maybe too much out of reach, but why not go try to get a Dante Moore to learn under Shador?
Yeah.
Or I don't want to say CJ Carr because most of the time Cleveland where quarterbacks go to die. So you know, but
But yeah, like you're saying, there's going to be a lot of options. It's not just Arch Manning. There's going to be a lot of quarterback options next year.
yeah, I believe I was seeing that this might be one of the best quarterback draft classes in a long time since what Eli and Philip Rivers and them.
Yeah, that's what Daniel Jeremiah has been saying, for a while. They're like, forget this year's draft class. Wait until next year. It's supposed to be loaded. So we'll see if it lives up to the hype. So going back to these Browns, they did what we wanted the Bengals to do, which was load up on the offensive line. They signed Elton Jenkins in free agency. They signed Zion Johnson in free agency. They trade for Titus Howard, and then they draft Spencer Fano. Um, Austin Barber in the third, Parker Brailsford in the fifth. They really rebuilt that offensive line in one offseason. Whoever the quarterback is, they're going to have a good offensive line in front of them.
For sure. And that goes to Shador, man, especially with Shador being able to have legs or
Yeah.
the legs he has, man, that's going to help him a lot. But I'm telling you, Alex, that Spencer Final guy is a special offensive tackle.
He's gonna be, day one starter at left tackle. So yeah, I mean they're getting it done. You got Titus Howard over at right tackle. You improve the interior of that O line. So I like what the Browns are doing. Spencer Fano wasn't my number one guy. I had Monroe Freeling rated above him. Um, but you like Fano a lot, and there was a lot of good offensive linemen in this draft. So, you really can't go wrong with either one of these guys.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I loved the pickup. I don't know about you of KC Concepcion.
Yeah, so Casey Concepcion is a good pick, and I think he's a speedster. He's got return ability. He's an excellent slot wide receiver. I really like Denzel Boston in the second round, and I think he's going to be. I don't think you don't see Casey Concepcion as a number one wide receiver. He's an excellent complement wide receiver, right?
Yeah, no, he's more of a of a type of guy that can take the top off of a
Yep.
defense if you need it. Run some screens with him, run some
Yeah.
outs and stuff. So, but he's going to be liable when it's third and four. you're going to need a guy like Casey Concepcion.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, he's definitely got value. You see the value of a speed wide receiver. You see what Rashid Shaheed did for the Seahawks last year, you know?
Yep.
So can't go wrong with Casey Concepcion there, but I really like Denzel Boston, and I think he's got number one wide receiver type of talent, type of potential. So I haven't been the biggest fan of Jerry Jeudy, so I think I love bringing in Denzel Boston. Do you like him as well?
Yeah, so I got to see him play a lot, being that the Big Ten was on NBC at night, and
Yeah.
Washington played on there several times. Denzel Boston was pretty good. I mean, a couple years ago, he was alongside the kid from
Rome
the
Dunze?
Bears. Yeah,
Yeah.
Rome. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Washington has had some excellent receivers lately, and so I expect Denzel Boston to be another example of that. And then how about they got Emmanuel McNeil Warren in the second round? I mean, I had first round talent, first round grade on him. So getting him in the second round, putting him in that secondary, is going to continue to improve that defense.
Yeah. How about that being Toledo's second time having somebody in the first and second rounds from a
Yeah.
defensive back?
Toledo Rockets, aka DBU. um, so yeah, I thought the Browns had an excellent draft. I think they did a good job in free agency. Um, so my prediction, I got the Browns winning 5 to 7 games. I think they're in a very difficult division. It's very top heavy, and the Browns aren't ready to compete for the division quite yet. So I think they win 5 to 7. They likely finish last place in that division, but I think they're a better team than they were last year. Um, I think they're taking steps in the right direction. Do you agree with that?
I do agree. And Cleveland fans, listen, take 5 to 7 all day long. That just
Yeah.
means you guys are getting better and going in the right direction. And by the way, I never answered your question. Yes, I think Todd Monken is a great hire.
I think he's a good hire, and he's a teacher, and I think that's what this young team needs is a teacher to kind of bring it back down to the basics and focus on the fundamentals. That's in my opinion.
Yeah, no, for sure. And again though, Cleveland fans, man, take 5 to 7 all year long because that already made you a better football team than you were last year.
And I'm really looking forward to seeing this offense continue to build and develop. Like I said, we talked about Shador Sanders, but I Quinshaw Judkins was an absolute stud last year. Harold Fannin Jr. I mean, they were comparing him to Antonio Gates. I mean, Harold Fannin Jr. is a hell of a tight end. And then you add the rookies. You know, I just think the Browns are building something. They're getting that offense. They're building something offensively for sure. Yeah. But to that point, we're talking about the Browns, waiting for like slowly building for the future. Next offseason, the 2027 draft, the Browns have 11 picks and
Damn.
they have 7 picks in the first 4 rounds. Yeah, I think the Browns are building something. They're trending in the right direction. They're a couple years away, but now's not the time to jump off the Browns bandwagon. Well, good stuff, Dustin. AFC North, and we're 2 divisions in. We've got 6 to go, but all this is doing is getting me more and more hyped for football season. It's June, and I just can't wait for football. But good shit. Thanks for taking the time, Dustin, to come back on the show, and we'll try and do the A. I'm sure you're gonna be ready to talk AFC South. So let's try and do that like next week. I know you're ready to talk some Colts.
Yes, sir. I'm down for it. I got a lot to say about my Indy, of course.
So appreciate you, bro. Thanks for coming back on the show. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, Leave a comment. Let us know what you think, who you think's going to be winning the division. And have a great week, guys.